Let's see if I even remember how to do this. Welcome back to 7 Moons Astrology. My name is Sarah Kirby, and I'm well aware that I owe you an explanation as to where I have been for the past several months, thanks to my sudden disappearance during what I am calling my Saturn return sabbatical. I'd be happy to share more with you about that if you're curious, but that's not what this video is. This video is for the full moon in Pisces, which is actually today, August 30th, 2023 at 8:35 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So in the spirit of it, because it's today, I'm hoping to get this video out quickly and just keep it brief and high level to share with you some of my thoughts on what this transit means. And God help me, because every time I say I'm going to make a quick video, it ends up being 40 minutes long. So why this moon? Why have I come out of hiding for this moon in particular? I think there's several reasons. This is the first major lunar activation of Saturn in Pisces. Saturn entered Pisces in March of 2023, and that's where it will stay for the next 3 years. So when we get a lunar activation, primarily the first major transit to activate that Saturn placement, it's when we start to really see what that energy is all about and what it will be teaching us through the experiences in our lives. And I've continued to be chatting with you all on Instagram and working with clients, and I've had lots of questions. When am I coming back? Where are your full moon videos? Where are your new moon videos? And then this week I received plenty of texts from people in my personal life, friends of mine, asking me what I think about this moon in particular. So this is the one. We're gonna lay it all out there. Let me show you on the chart really quickly. We've got the sun in Virgo. It's Virgo season. And the moon is opposing at 7 degrees. Now here's the other reason why I think I need to come out of hiding to talk to you about this one. My natal Saturn placement is at 6 degrees. So it's right in between this moon and this Saturn here, and I have been learning quite a bit through my Saturn return about this transit. So I think I hopefully will have something meaningful to share with you that can help you depending on where you're at. But this moon, it's conjunct Saturn here, so Saturn is very much so a part of this story. Other defining features of the energy right now would be all of the retrograde activity in general. In particular, we have Mercury retrograde. And so it's opposing as well by sign in Virgo. Pisces is about completion, culmination, endings, release, forgiveness, letting go, shedding, grief, loss. It's about art, creativity, imagination, fantasy, believing, truth, deception. It's about spirituality. It's about Christ consciousness. It's about unconditional love, the oneness that connects us all, and the subconscious emotional wave that unites us. Virgo and Mercury, as the ruler of Virgo, exalted in Virgo, is about details and plans and day-to-day mundane life. It's about the work that we do. It's analytical intelligence. It's very good at correcting what has been inefficient, impure, unhealthy, or poorly done in the past. And so it has a very keen eye. And so we have these two polar energies happening at once right now with Saturn in the mix. Now Saturn is karma. Saturn is time. Saturn is tough lessons that we can learn only through challenge. Saturn is about boundaries and limitations. And so to have this placement of Saturn with the full moon in Pisces makes this more prominent of a lesson around the Piscean themes that we often learn through some kind of struggle or effort, or it's something that we can only learn over a very long period of time. That's the role of Saturn here. So you see people online talking about blue moon. Oh my God, this moon is so special. I would disregard that. It simply means that the calendar, the Gregorian calendar, has lined up in such a way that we're having 2 full moons in the month of August, but it's still the moons cycling as they normally cycle. Although this one is very big and close to Earth. But really, I think the significance of this moon lies in the fact that it is conjunct Saturn. So if I were to put one term on it, it's the ultimate lesson. This moon illuminates the ultimate lesson. And the way that that lesson comes to us is going to be Saturnian in nature. So as far as I can see it, there are maybe 4 or 5 different groups of people that are going to have a thematically similar experience of this moon. You have the happy people who are having a dreamy, fantastical experience where it feels like they have an opportunity to make their biggest aspirations, their wildest imaginations, and most hopeful dreams, Pisces, come true into material reality, Saturn. Perhaps after some very long period of time invested working and struggling towards the creation of that to make it real, Saturn. If this is you, good for you. But here's my advice. We've got Mercury retrograde opposing on the other side of this energy. We have Venus retrograde, Saturn itself is retrograde, everything's retrograde, but in particular, the Mercury is retrograde. So what I want to say about this is wait. Don't act just yet if you can help it. Because although it may seem like everything's perfect and it's going to work out exactly as you want it to, it's better if you can take even just a little bit more time now to let things fall into place because of the retrograde activity, which will be going direct towards the mid of September. Because it's likely that there are details that you still don't have, that are still missing, that would impact the practicality of whatever it is that you're bringing into reality here. Or there are elements of the work that you just have not considered. And so this time is actually very well suited to looking back to the past, right? Because Pisces inherently is about the past and the memories of the past that we store in our subconscious and in our minds. And you can use the opposing Virgo energy right now to really accurately assess, where am I missing something? What have I learned through all this struggle in the past that I can know how to apply so that should this work out successfully for me, I can feel like I have all my bases covered. So that's for you guys who are feeling hopeful during this time at the full moon in Pisces. Good for you. Get off the video now because you've probably got it figured out already. The rest of these topics are going to be perhaps a little heavier in nature due to the malefic quality of Saturn. If that's not what you want to hear and you want to stay in your delusions, then go do that somewhere else. Because now I'm going to be speaking to the people who probably need this video most. Saturn in Pisces can bring out the heavier qualities of Pisces. Being in denial, being deceived, losing something or someone very important to you, and swelling in the waves of grief. This could be about confusion and uncertainty about what comes next in the future, because there's this huge impulse in all of us right now to step into this new dynamic. And we already have 2 feet in this new chapter, thanks to the North Node in Aries that we have since July of this year. There really is a lot of new energy coming in, and a lot of us are experiencing that, but there isn't yet a ton of clarity about what lies just beyond that or how to sustain it. Saturn can sometimes be about how we sustain things into the long term. So there can be a lot of confusion, there can be a lot of open opportunities without any clarity about which one will collapse into reality. And that can be exhausting. That can be exhausting. So the other thing about Pisces is that it can make you tired. You can be sleeping a lot or having a lot of really wild dreams. And for those of you that have lost something significant and are in a ton of grief, grief and suffering are the biggest teachers. You can have all your magical Pisces experiences and taking your psychedelics and going on your medicine journeys and doing this spiritual retreat and everyone's holding hands and la la land. There's a lot of that going on here in Austin, Texas. But nothing can teach you what you really need to know for your journey, like illness, loss, suffering, and grief. Nothing gets the point across like suffering does. And so I'm going to get a little meta with you, and this might be a little new for me. You might not be used to me speaking in this way to you, but I want to lean on the archetype of Christ as a teacher for this energy, because Pisces is the Christ consciousness. If you're Christian, Pisces energy is really the embodiment of what Christ taught. And that's what I want to emphasize here. Regardless of what religion you are, suspend your ego for just a moment if this triggers you. If it bothers you, then maybe you need to hear it most. When you are confused, when you are in loss, when you are in grief, when you are in denial and you're sabotaging your reality or trying to escape big feelings through maladaptive coping mechanisms, or if you've been hurt and you've been burned and you feel like a victim of your life circumstances, Saturn during this full moon is going to make it clear what you need to know. It's going to show you the karma of the situation, Saturn's karma. And with the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, you'll have the keen opportunity and the clarity this week to look back into the past, to understand exactly the small details you missed, the frame of mind you were in that caused the situation, and the corrections to your behavior that you need in order to move forward in a way that actually allows you to sustain the new chapter that you have recently or will be soon entering. So that's really what the opportunity with this full moon is. And I want to offer the Christ consciousness or the example of Jesus as a bridge to where you're going. So why is Pisces associated with Christ? Well, because Pisces is about unconditional love and sacrifice. Pisces struggles with boundaries, right? Because it's boundless. It understands how we are all connected. And so that's the love of Christ. That's the example of Christ. And the sacrifice of Christ is a love that knows no limits, right? It's a love that knows no limits. And in that moment, broken, battered, beaten, dying, losing everything, he keeps his eyes on the higher purpose and he stays in a frequency of forgiveness. Simple as that. So perhaps you're in a position where you need to forgive yourself or you need to forgive somebody else for hurts that have been done in the past so that you can stop repeating the cycle that you now have a better chance at seeing more clearly thanks to the Virgo energy and the retrograde. There's so much impetus right now to look to the past and see what the repeating patterns are, see where you have been getting in your own way, and understand what was really important all along if you have lost something or someone. Or if you are confused about how to move forward and how to get what you want out of life, now is the time to see where you have been holding on resentments, you've been holding on residual frustration and anger and pain and suffering so that you can just tell your victim story over and over and over again. Sometimes Pisces can go that way. Saturn is really going to show you why that is no longer effective, and the Virgo energy combined with Mercury retrograde is going to give you the analytical foresight to just dig back into the past and be like, that was my mistake, and I am more ready and willing than ever to fix it, because the suffering or the confusion is exactly the thing that I need, or it's strong enough so that I'm finally willing to look at those things that I haven't wanted to look at before. And then the only thing you need to do to set your path forward correctly is forgive. Forgive yourself, forgive other people. That's what I think this full moon is about. Saturn is ultimate endings. Let me maybe just share now some examples of how this energy is manifesting in the lives of people that I know. Maybe one friend in particular who asked me about this full moon in Pisces. She's a Pisces. She's been feeling really exhausted lately, and she's very tired because she's been sacrificing a lot of her energy towards helping her family through some challenges that they're going on, that they have going on in the home right now. They have a lot of pets, and recently all of them got fleas, and the house has been repeatedly infested with fleas now, and she's just been working so hard to hold it all together because a lot of the people in her family are not in a position to do so right now. So I want to pull out the astrology from this. Well, the sacrifice of time, the sacrifice of energy, the exhaustion, that's Pisces. Virgo, one of the things that Virgo rules is pets. So the challenge, the thing that is taking effort and is repeating and struggle and time, Saturn. The feelings that might come up besides the exhaustion are resentment and confusion about how to make it stop, right? So that's one example of how this would play off in a mundane reality. Another client of mine, hello, if you're listening, has just recently completed an artwork after 5 years' time working on this one piece. So artwork, Pisces, long time invested, Saturn. And now he's thinking about what he needs to do in order to get it sold and what the strategy needs to be in order to do that based on what has worked in the past and what has not worked in the past. That's the Virgo with Mercury retrograde. So I also have a family member who lost their father. Okay, what happens when you lose their father? Father, Saturn, Pisces, loss, and now there's a ton of grief. And what does grief do? Grief makes you go back and think about all the things you should have, would have, could have said. That's the Virgo energy in retrograde. What do? Forgive. Forgive yourself. Forgive your father for the way that he's hurt you, right? So those are 3 quick examples of how this energy is manifesting, but really at a high level, what this is there's a process you've been working through for a very long time. A creative endeavor, a sacrificial endeavor. There is a relationship you've had for a very long time. There is a pattern you're repeating that is causing you great turmoil. It's coming to a karmic close right now if you have the wherewithal to analyze, Virgo, the past Mercury retrograde. And I think you'll be successful because Mercury is exalted in Virgo. And as the moon moves on from its current position, it's going to make a conjunction with Neptune, which is Pisces' modern day ruler, further enhancing this energy. And that opposition there means we really have the chance to integrate and figure it all out and have the aha moments about how we can proceed in the future without repeating these things so that we don't have all of this suffering and confusion. It's not to say that there isn't more pieces to the puzzle. Again, we're working with the Saturn energy for the next 3 years, and we have to practice the skills that are illuminated here. But this is a turning point for sure. And being that my Saturn is at 7 degrees Pisces, or my Saturn's at 6 degrees Pisces, in the mix of all of this energy, I've really been having a lot of experiences in my own life that are teaching me the same thing. And there really is nothing more liberating than forgiving yourself and the people around you. And there's nothing more satisfying than completing something that you have been at for a very, very long time. So I hope this is helpful to you. If it was, let me know in the comments. You know, I'm curious to hear from you how you're experiencing this full moon. I think about you guys all the time. You know, I'm excited to come back as it makes sense for me. And I have been doing client readings the entire time, so you can always book me for a reading if you'd like to examine your natal chart together or talk about your life experience. One of my favorite things to do is look at the past rather than the future, because I believe that it can bring a lot of comfort and clarity about our lives. So, you know, I welcome you to book with me. And on a go-forward basis, in order for me not to get burnt out doing this, I would love for you to give me suggestions around what you want to see. And if you're in Austin, Texas, you know, send me an email or message me on Instagram, and maybe we can chat astrology in person. I'm very interested in meeting more of you and doing more of this in real life. The social media thing just kind of had me burnt out. So, you know, let me know what you're curious about, and when inspired, I will be happy to make some more content about that. And I will see you in the next one, whenever that may be, with energy. Sarah.